Okay, we're live. Good. Well, we're back again for part two with myself and Shanti talking about, real life and human design. And last thing we were talking about was you probably more elegantly than anyone and with more, in a sense, of authority because you've been there, really addressed the whole thing about how do I make money? I did a video just recently called How Do I Make Money While I Wait? Because most of us, our strategy is to wait. And of course, everyone's mind thinks waiting means sitting around and doing nothing, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
But I was going to show you, and I was going to screen share your chart. So let me put the screen share on here and tell me if you can see it up and going there, Ellie. Can you see that now?
Not quite yet.
It sometimes takes,
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, it takes 5 or 10 seconds to get up there. So this is Ellie's chart. What's obvious, for those of you who don't know much about human design, these are the two columns I talked about earlier on in part one, the astrology chart of her birth date, and then the astrology chart of 88 days before she was born, when her body was going through a big growth spurt, relative to the actual time she does get born. This is when the body integrates things, in preparation for birth. In fact, it's birth, in a sense, preempt. The body anticipates the birth coming, however it happens, and, starts pulling things together, gelling things together. Or the way the body is at that time really impacts the way you are as a physical body during the rest of your life. So these two charts are combined together, and when you look at Ali's chart, the one thing that really stands out, first of all, is that this center here, which is called the sacral center, is colored. Now, any of the centers that are colored means that they are joined at least to one other center, and on a practical level, at birth, they are switched on and they generate their own energy 24/7 from then on, which means these colored parts of Ali operate consistently and reliably in generating energy. And that's why we call it in human design your true self. And by true, we mean the part of you that is reliable, consistent, 24/7. It doesn't vary depending on the external environment. It's you might call it your hard wiring. Make sense?
Yes.
And the white parts, these centers, energy centers that are white, and also the channels that are white, all the white parts, they're open and receptive to the world around you. And they're there to learn from the energies of the world around you, whether that be the people you are with, the environment you're in, what's going on in the stars and the planets around you at that particular time. That's the part of you that's open to that and receives it in order to filter it and learn from it, but it's not you. And so the best approach there is to be like a screen door, let it blow through you. But most of us tend to treat it as a sponge where we soak up that energy and think it's us. And here's why. When we're absorbing the energy into our lives and we're living in a body that for tens of thousands of years was making decisions with its mind, but 230 years ago we outgrew that, but the habit is still deeply ingrained in our psyche. When we're living in a body now that's meant to not make decisions with their mind, but the mind doesn't realize that yet, or it's in the process of realizing it now. So what happens is our true self, the part that's consistent, as far as the mind is concerned, becomes background noise. It's just stuff we take for granted. And the mind looks for the ups and downs, the dramas, the entertainment, that's what the mind's attuned to doing, and in the past, it was a tool for survival. We were using it as a tool for survival. The positive side of that is our mind grew incredibly rapidly, far more rapidly than it would have done under natural forces of evolution. I mean, incredibly rapidly. You know, we've progressed the equivalent of about 300 million years in terms of mental development in the last 80 to 90,000 years. However, it's still, we've outgrown that. But the mind's still going, I've got to take care of survival. It looks at the part of us that's truly us and just takes it for granted. You know, if you've got children, how many of them just after, you know, get to 7 or 8 and just take you for granted? That's why, and they need to, you know, they need to at that age, which is why it's such a big shock when there's a divorce. You know, it's like, oh my God, I can't take this for granted. But at a certain point, like teenage years, they need to learn that they're not meant to take this for granted. Anyway, that's the story of our children. But what we do is we take our true selves for granted because our mind is observing, trying to help us run our lives. And it looks at all that open energy centers and all those open channels and sees the ups and downs that you go through because of the fluctuations happening in the world. You know, the things that people are going on about in their lives around you, the things they're going through, the thoughts and feelings, the emotions, the ego, the will that they have, the things that they're trying to express. You pick all that up and you think, your mind thinks, not you, but your mind thinks that must be me. And so we get conditioned by the world around us. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories or even the way we're conditioned by society, which all adds to it. But we're conditioned just by our experience of the world around us. And our mind, still trying to help us, interprets that as that not self, that white part of me is the real me. No, it's not the real, consistent, reliable you. It's the part of you that's open and receptive that you can learn from, but never take as fixed because it always changes, you know. And in the long run, once you're clear about that, you can use that to filter what's going on, to learn from what's going on, to read the room, to read the people around you, but never mistake it for yourself. And the big part of us that does that is our mind. Okay, now, if you look at Ali's chart, you'll see that this part here, all the white parts, in fact, there's only one gate in the whole of those 3 that's even switched on. That's this number 8 here, which is here. But the rest of it is wide open. So if you can, in your imagination, look at the colored parts of Ali's chart, and Ali, look at this, you can see it, the colored parts, and imagine that all the colored parts, the channels and the centers are white, and all the white parts are colored. In other words, the mirror, the reflection or the mirror image of this chart. If all of those white parts were colored, that would be what you would call in human design an ego, a will-driven or an ego-driven manifester, because the drive from the will center connects with the throat, and therefore if it was colored, she would be able to express herself, her will, directly to the world around her through her throat. That's called an ego-based manifester.
I seem to do that so well.
Oh, you do, because what you're doing, you do it so well because you're picking up the will and the expression and the thoughts of all the people around you, amplifying it to learn from it, mistaking it as yourself, and then acting it out. Do you understand what I just said? In other words, you pick up other people's will, other people's form of expressing themselves, other people's thoughts and ideas up here.
Yeah.
Mistake them for your own.
Yeah.
Rather than just let them flow through and learn from them.
Yeah.
You know, you go to an internet marketing seminar and you pick up all these ideas and all this rah, let's do it and make a, you know, $100,000 a month and blah, 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 while we're sitting on the beach in Costa Rica. Sounds good to me.
And then I do it.
And then you go out there and do it and get frustrated. You know, I once talked to an accountant who said, yes, I have some network marketing clients who make $60,000 a month. And I said, that's good, isn't it? She said, well, their expenses are $80,000 a month. And she said, she just looked at me and laughed and said, I define that as poverty at a higher level. And I never forgot that. This was a decade or two ago. You know, it's like, go, 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 go. You know, make money, spend more than you've got, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm not saying you're doing that, but this is, you know, an ego-based manifestor. And I'm not talking just purely, you know, negative ego. I'm talking about someone with a healthy ego and a strong will, which this little center here gives you a very, very strong will. I've actually had a relationship with a woman in Los Angeles who was an ego manifestor, and I saw this in action very closely, very intimately, very really in my life. It's dynamic. It's just, you know, she decides she wants something, it's on. You know, the so-called dating rules went out the window. You know, it was just like, all the thing is like, she decided it's on, and it was on, and that was it. She decided it was over, and it was over, and that was it. It was fascinating and wonderful person. I have immense respect for her. But, you know, she was learning to embrace that about herself without feeling there's something wrong with her. You know, well, Ali's learning she doesn't have to be like that. And in fact, there is a particular line that joins the will center or the ego center to the throat. It's channel 2145 or 4521. It's called the money line. And it's about making money and making sure the money's properly allocated for the tribe, i.e. for other people, for the tribe.
I don't have that line.
And as I said, Donald Trump line in his chart, you know, he has his own little tribe or biggish tribe or whatever, and he's a money maker. And, you know, and I'm not saying everyone watching this who hasn't got that, I don't, should go, oh, make money. It's not the only way. It's the specific process. It's the specific dynamic of someone who, you know, as a king or a queen, with the treasurer, takes the money that the tribe gathers or that's gathered or makes resources and money for a group of people and then make sure it's properly spent and properly allocated and properly used. You know, it's one form of generating resources and income specifically for the group of people. And so no wonder Ali's going, but hold on, I've got all these people in my tribe, you know, depending on me to make money. And her mind thinks, I have to do that. But it comes and it goes. Why? Because that energy comes and goes in the environment around her, you know, in the people around you, you know. And when you're around someone like that, you can amp up their energy and act it out to the extreme. You know, you can put them to shame, but end up feeling frustrated.
Yeah.
Because it's not you. But you can learn about what they're going through. You can learn tons about how that is done and share that because you've learned about it, but you don't have to do it. In fact, you're not designed to. Now, here's the other thing, and money doesn't come from one or two channels, by the way. Trust me, it comes from many, many, many places. You know, if you, well, I won't go into that. I was about to launch into a lecture on that, but it'll take us away from what we're doing here. This channel here, 14.2, right smack up the middle, right at the core of who Ali really is. That's about making money and resources as well.
What's that?
But it's I don't know what's it called. It's I forget what it's called. It's called technically in human design, it's called the channel of the beat. But it's let me describe it to you, and it'll you know, it doesn't really say that that's what it's about. It's called, you know, it's something that brings about change. And it brings about change by creating more resources. In other words, it's a part of you that's designed to create resources in response when change is necessary. Right? And the change is not based on necessary for save the world or necessary to save the group. It rubs off on the group for sure, but it's really when I need to change, I create the resources. When what I'm involved with, when taking care of myself, when what I'm involved with, creating the lifestyle that I want, boy, oh boy, can I create that. And the people involved with me get the benefit of that. You know, sometimes I can catalyze resources happening in their life because I care for them or they're friends of mine, or it's the right time for them to make resources in their life, to step out on their own, to move their whole work in the world out, to grow up as a teenager and take responsibility for financing themselves. And when that time comes for them, I'm the agent of change, because this channel is a very individual channel. It's about what defines you as an individual. You're an individual agent of change, and you trigger the necessary production of resources when the time's right, either for you or the other person. But it's all done because it comes from the sacral area down here in response. It's always in response. It's generated. Whereas this one, the money line is always coming, it's not coming from the energy of work generation. It's not coming from emotion. You know, it's not even coming from the mind. Well, in this case, it's somewhat connected to it, but because there's a straight connection to it, but it's just coming from sheer will. I want this, let's do it. I want a new resort, let's build it. I want to, finance Miss America or Miss Universe, let's do it. I want a new relationship, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? But in your case, you're picking up everyone else's desires and acting them out, rather than being the powerhouse, the generator, the catalyst. That's the energy that people can tap into when the time is right for them, according to their strategy and inner authority, to really grow and move ahead. For instance, I've known you for 3 or 4 years now. Things have improved in my life, and you've been not the only person, but one of the people responsible for that unfolding. Just the fact that we worked together and did a few videos together, and then I worked with Eyes Wide Open because the timing was right and I was doing according to my strategy and inner authority. See, because you're a pure generator, not a manifesting generator, you're something that a resource that people plug into. I'm a generator as well. We generate energy and people plug into us to receive that energy when we allow them to, according to our strategy and inner authority, when it's right for us. We don't let them. Imagine it as the feminine side of being generators. Think of the female anatomy. We don't let people plug into us if we get a no. No means no, right? That's how it works. But yes means come on.
Yeah.
Right? It's time, it's right for me. If it's right for you, let's get it on. Well, a manifesting generator is someone who actually plugs their energy into other people. They're the more masculine side. I know that's a pretty nitty-gritty example, but it's very accurate. So you're this incredible resource, this incredible source of energy, highly individual with these particular channels here. You know how to survive. You know how to take things to the next level for that person's soul. You're powerful. You're centered. You've got this right at the very core of who you are. When the time is right, the energy, the resources will be there because you'll catalyze the changes that will make it happen for that person or for yourself.
Right. So I have set up things so that's actually the case. You know, the way that I have structured my life, for example, with my businesses, we cash forecast, you know, 3 to 5 weeks out. And I'm always seeing what's needed. And in response, it comes in.
Yeah.
So
but, hold on. Let's just take this to one level. I've stopped the sharing now, hopefully.
Yeah.
You've said you've set up your life like this. Okay. Did you do that according? Was it like you allowing life and you to sort of dance together, and in response this sort of thing emerged? Or was it you from your mind going, okay, I'm putting the systems in place and I've studied all the best people around and I'm going to make this happen?
I didn't study anything with respect to creating the financial systems that I have now. I felt what I needed, and then I told my financial team to create that. And over probably a 2-year period, we worked together, and I would say, no, I need this. Okay, no, I need it to be like this. No, it needs to be like this. And then, you know, we would iterate it, and ultimately they created a financial system where I always know exactly what's needed. And I feel compromised by that. Maybe I just need to let that go and realize that that's actually beneficial.
Well, yeah, let's put it this way. The way you were speaking when you said, I said to them this, and I said to them this. And by the way, if you're a manifestor watching this, that's a great example of how, you know, a will-based or an ego authority manifestor, that's what they do. No, I want this, and get the generators to do the work. No, I want this, and get the generators to do the work, right? And I didn't know whether I was going to question you more about how you actually did this, but then you said at the end of it, I feel compromised, and I was going to say, and are you satisfied with that? And you're going, you know, and it's like,
well, I'm satisfied with the structure and that it gives me an ability to respond. What I'm not satisfied with is that I'm responding to money, which is not what I want to be responding to, because that's not actually the most creative source for me.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm about to enter into an agreement to sell one of my businesses that like locks that in even more.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
No. Let me tell you something. I want you to really be open to letting this in. It's up to you whether you do or not, but I'm going to say a really simple sentence to you. Looking at your chart from what we talked about before, I'm going to say this to you. You are money.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I think she let that one in. You are money. And I don't mean, you know, I mean, you're worth your weight in gold. I mean, when you look at your human design chart, you're the catalyst for money. You've got the golden touch. You've got the Midas touch.
I do.
It's
true.
Right? So it's not a matter of like, I'm doing this for money. It's like, I am money. So what am I going to do with myself?
Right. So I've been starting to get that. Like, no matter what I do, it's tremendously valuable. It doesn't matter. Because it's like people are going to find it valuable and give me resources as a result. I didn't always know that.
They're not going to necessarily give them to you. The resources will, no. Listen. The resources will always come to you. I'm not getting all woo-woo esoteric here either. You're designed that whenever you need the resources, right? Whenever you need them, not when you think you need them, but whenever the resources are necessary, especially to go to the next level. Those resources will be drawn to you like iron filings to a magnet without you going, and thinking about, oh, I'm a money magnet and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, you're designed that way. It's like all you have to do is stop doing so much to prove yourself. And then, because that's what's blocking it. Remember, I said to you, don't lose touch with the beauty and the power and the magic of who you are by trying to be beautiful and powerful and magical. Do you know what I mean? Or the value of who you are by trying to be valuable. You know, when you have that little white, remember the little white triangle that's the will center? Whenever that's white, people tend to lack self-esteem and feel that they have to prove themselves because they keep picking up everybody else's will and finding that when that person goes away, they no longer have the will to do it, and they think it's their lack of will. Like you can be around, say, Eben Pagan or Tony Robbins or, you know, Barack Obama or whatever, and not that Barack Obama has a strong will center either, but, you know, someone with a strong will. I mean, I've got the will center defined. So, you know, you and I could be in Colorado together and you go, yes, yes. And then I go and it's like, where'd it go? It's just like, you amplify my will, you sense my will, you can tell. And we've had communications where this is true, when I've spoken up with strong will. And if I knew that if I was coming from a negative place or a controlling place, you would pick it up in a flash. But if I was coming from true will, healthy will, you know, will where I wanted both of us to win, you would sense it. And I had to take that risk, you know, because there's no other way around it. I'm designed to express my will, you know, but I have to take a risk with someone like you that if I get a little bit off, you'll pick it up. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you're not meant to take my will and act it out.
Okay, so let's like get down to the bottom line here. Okay. That was loud.
There's something going on with the electricity or something. It's just
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my fan is having feedback.
Okay.
Let's see if I take
it's okay now. It's okay now. It was just
okay. I have maybe 10 more minutes.
Okay. So maybe there's too much energy for the internet at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
So I have about
10 minutes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I have about 10
I can
minutes.
hear you.
I'm negotiating the sale of my business.
Yep.
And the buyer seems to want to make me an employee.
Yeah.
And give me basically 5% of the gross as my buying price. So, you know, if the company gross is $1 million, I get $50,000 that year. If the gross is 10 million, I get 500,000. But I'm not in control of that because I'm an employee of the company, not running the company. And I've been consulting with an advisor who says that's a terrible deal for you. Do not take that deal. You need to, for the amount that he wants to pay you as an employee, that's your buyout. That's your buyout amount. That's guaranteed. There's no like, you don't have to do anything for it, but if you do, great, but that's guaranteed. That's for the value of the asset that you've already created. And the employee part is actually a consulting role, and that's the percentage of the gross. That's the percentage that's variable based on what you do or don't do. Or if you create systems that do it. But you can't be an employee and not have control over the venture. And so I think he is correct. I mean, that would seem to make sense. And I'm just wanting to run that by you to see, like, does this set this, to me, this structure would set everything up perfectly. So I'm no longer worried about money. My base survival is handled through the sale of the assets of the company. It's like guaranteed money coming in over the next 5 years, let's say. And yet I still want to bring my all to it because I still do get a percentage of gross, but that's not even why. I mean, that just kind of keeps me interested. It's because I love the work. I love the work. But I can also branch out beyond the work, which is ultimately what I want, in a way that I believe will serve the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing it for the money. But I am incentivized by the money.
Okay, well, let me say something so we get within the time limit we have.
Yeah.
This comes down to a core thing, a really core thing. It's about strategy and inner authority, but it's a little more than that in one sense. It's about whatever you get engaged in with any deal, any contract, any marriage, any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If you enter it correctly, and by correctly I mean in the way that truly works for you according to your strategy and inner authority, according to, as a friend of mine calls it, your true nature and the true guidance within you, the one that's reliable and consistent. So you're true to your nature and you're true to your inner guidance. If you enter that correctly, you will have no regrets, no matter what happens. If you enter it incorrectly, according to your not self, look, you could get $1 billion a day, right, just for sitting on the beach in Costa Rica, and you'd be frustrated. You'd be frustrated.
Okay.
The whole thing is to enter it correctly. Now, for you, you're right here in front of us now, doing your strategy and your inner authority. Your strategy is to wait. Why?
Yeah.
So that you get in touch with what is happening, not what you think is happening. That's why we wait. It's a very active thing. It's becoming conscious of what is happening. Okay. What is happening is you've been offered a deal. So in response to that, your inner authority is emotional. So I'll get back to you. And what you do with your inner authority is you allow your emotional patterns. Now, let me share the screen again, and hopefully this doesn't cause any problems. Can you see this, Ali? Tell me if you can.
Not yet. Now I can.
Okay, great. So you're a generator, so you wait. You're a generator because this is defined. You're a pure generator because there's no connection to the throat from one of these motors. So you're a generator, you wait and respond to what is happening, not what you think is happening. Then you get offered a deal and you go, I don't care whether it's Brad Pitt or Barack Obama or anybody offers you a great deal, you'll go, I'll get back to you. Why? Because you have emotional inner authority, which means that you have a unique pattern that your emotions go through time and time again on a regular basis, which is natural to you. And it's quite a strong pattern because of this thing, which we don't have time to discuss, but it's quite a powerful pattern. Now, you make decisions by looking at the decision you have to make from all the different points of that emotional pattern, going up and down, up and down. Sometimes you feel excited and, yeah, this is fantastic and this is great. And other times you feel like, oh, you know, not sure about this. Oh, I better ask people. And we could literally watch you as you were asking that question. You're going, well, there's this, but then there's that. And that's not thinking, although you might think you're thinking, it's your emotional cycle running its course.
Yeah.
So you need to go through all parts of that emotional cycle to get what you would call in business due diligence. You're looking at it, looking at it, looking at it, looking at it, looking at it from this point of view.
Yes.
Along with that, which people don't talk about much in human design, there is a much deeper thing now emerging in us, which I call emotional awareness. And imagine your emotions as an ocean and all the ups and downs of the waves on the surface. But deep down in the ocean, in the depths, is this profound awareness that comes from your subconscious, your unconscious, your higher self. It connects you to so much that both our mind is maybe aware of, but way even beyond that. So much wisdom and depth there. And it's like a monster or a kraken or a whale or something that's coming up. And over time, you get to do your due diligence of looking at it emotionally, and at the same time, this deeper awareness comes to the surface, and the emotional ups and downs, the emotional insight and wisdom you get from that, plus the true wisdom that comes from the depths of who you are, merge at the surface and create a moment or a time of emotional clarity, not mental clarity. Oh, I think this is the right thing to do because this and this and this all adds up. No, it's like, and you have to wait for that to emerge. But when it does, that's the decision you can take to the bank. You'll never, look, it might not even work out, but you won't have any regrets. What you learn there will prepare you for the next level, or it'll work out wonderfully, because in your case especially, if it's right for you, it's right then for everybody. If it's not right for you in your chart, and all the various other things I've looked at, what happens if it's not right for you? Guess what? It's not going to be right for everybody else. And I would say to this person, whoever they are, for God's sake, insist that she makes decisions, give her the time she needs to get to a point of emotional clarity, because if she's not clear this is right for her, you don't want her in the company. And do you know how powerful a chart Ali Shanti has? Do you know what you're letting in? For $50,000 incoming this powerful being who can't help being herself now, whose mind is getting out of the way, so her radiance, her magnificence is going to start coming out, and it will change things. And if you want to keep things the way they are, be warned. I have a friend who was once flown from the United States. She's a consultant to leadership, to major corporations, and she was flown to Hawaii on a private jet by this man, walked into his office to be a consultant. And the first thing he said when he looked at her was, by the way, whatever you're going to advise me, just be warned, I run this company on terror and fear. And if you want to change that, we can't work, that's not going to happen. And she just looked at him and said, thank you for taking such good care of me, putting me up in the hotel, flying me here. We can't work together. You wouldn't want me here. And left.
No.
Walked out, and that was the end of the meeting, and she was flown back, and they just, honest communication. He was happy, she was happy. You don't underestimate the power of your true self, Ali. Give us all a break and take care of yourself. Really be patient. Make people wait. I love this quote out of Be Cool, 7 minutes into the movie Be Cool, when Danny DeVito says to John Travolta, John Travolta's got a little car there that's a spare car because his limousine got shut up. It's a hybrid. And he's trying to convince Danny DeVito that this is the Cadillac of hybrids. And Danny DeVito's car drives up, and it's a beautiful top-of-the-range Porsche. And Danny looks at John Travolta and says, but what about speed? And John just looks at him and says, when you're important enough, people will wait. That's your motto, Ellie. And it's not self-importance. It's knowing who you are and the energy that you bring to the world, and treating yourself with respect and everyone around you with respect, by only exposing to them to the real you when they're ready. And the only way you can do that is by taking really good care of yourself and taking time to make decisions. Yeah. This is the biggest thing you can do to make this deal for everybody work.
Okay. That's clear.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun. So much fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you liked it, and thank you for what you wrote to me. And I I'm in this place of I can't see how it's all going to work out, but I know it will.
Hey, look, welcome to the world of human design. We don't have to see how it's going to work out. Our mind has now evolved to being a brilliant tool, not for survival any longer, but for observation and self-reflection. We get to go on a journey of discovery, no longer conquering. We get to, the mind is there now. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it gets to see how it works out. It gets to go to the movies and go, I don't know how this movie's going to end, but I get to watch the movie. Let your mind become an observer. Let it have an incredible experience of observing and reflecting on the beauty of your life unfolding and being the champion of your body while your body enjoys the beauty of the gift of life. I mean, what a freaking amazing place where we no longer have to suffer anymore, where we can really turn up as who we are, where we can live in a world, or in our case, create a world, because it's not here yet, but it's coming, a world where it's safe to love and it's safe to be powerful. And Ellie, you are a major catalyst in that. And that's why it's my honor and my privilege to, you know, to work with you. It truly is. And I'd just like to make one other thank you. We both should thank Carissa Skirmont, who we both know, because if she hadn't pointed out your post yesterday.
You froze.
Hi. Yeah, I know. I had the same thing happen on my end, so it's done. Okay, so I assume you have to go, but thank you. Wonderful experience. It'll be up on the YouTube. Yep. Okay, my pleasure, and thank you very much. I'm really excited for you, Ali. I cannot tell you how excited. It's like all the work we've been doing and all the work you've been doing in your whole life. It's really at that foundation building level now. You know, that take this couple of months to really be patient, let it build up, only do the really clear or right for you. And then July to October, we're going to be rocking this world, I tell you. Okay, darling. Same to you. Bye.